and welcome you back to Global Education Zone. And in this video, we're talking about nouns. Now, in the previous episode, we stopped at sentence, right? Now, a sentence, I said a sentence contains two fundamental particles known as the subject and the predicate, right? Now, this subject and the predicate, they have different parts of speech that perform the functions of subject and predicate. Now, an example of such parts of speech is noun. Now we're going to be talking about noun. Noun also takes part in those part of a sentence, and a noun is basically the name of an animal, place, person, thing, concept, belief, or behavior, or whatever it is. Just anything that can be described, anything that can be talked about, anything that can be named, anything that can be the subject, anything that can be the object of a discussion, anything that can be analyzed is a noun. So nouns are basically what you talk about. Nouns are the things that can be described, the things that can be observed, the things that can be analyzed, and so on and so forth. For example, and nouns can be persons. So nouns can be persons like me. When you talk about my name is Nathaniel, and that name Nathaniel is a noun. Now your name is also a noun. The name of your school is a noun. The name of your best food is a noun. The name of your worst food is a noun, and the name of your best park is a noun, and so on and so forth. So all those names of whatever you can call it, they are nouns. And in other words, you can basically call nouns name of whatever. Yeah, nouns are names of whatever. So basically, and then these nouns, there are different classes, there are different types of nouns. So these nouns, we're going to be talking about their types of nouns and talking about the functions of nouns. So in nouns, there are six different types of nouns, and we have the proper nouns. Proper nouns, we have the common nouns, we have the collective nouns, we have the compound nouns, we have the verbal nouns, and we have the abstract nouns. So let's talk about proper nouns. A proper noun is basically a noun that gives the particular or specific name of an animal, place, or thing. For example, a proper noun is used to name something that is that's the only sample of its kind. For example, if you talk about a zebra, if you talk about an animal now, an animal is not a proper noun because there are different types of animal. So if there are different types of something, it's not a proper noun. But proper noun is like the simplest type thing that it is just only one of it. For example, my name is a proper noun because there's only one type of me that can have my full name and personality. So even though another person can bear my name, but when you're talking about this person's personality, you are talking about it as a proper noun. So that proper noun is kind of like a specific noun. So and then next we have what's known as a common noun. A common noun is more like a general noun. A common noun is basically the name of groups of things. For example, we want to talk about animal. An animal could be a zebra, an animal could be a human being, an animal could be an antelope, and so on and so forth. So all those nouns that describe the name of things that can be anything that can be from a range of things, that is known as a common noun. It is shared by a common group of things or animals or persons, etc., etc. Now we have after common noun we have the collective nouns. Collective nouns are basically nouns that are formed when you combine different nouns together. So collective nouns are basically nouns that used to describe things that are not countable. Collective nouns, you can say a box of biscuits, a bag of rice. That's a collective noun. It's used to describe a collective group of things because you cannot count rice, so you have to measure them in partitives. So that's partitive is an example of a collective noun. So that's collective noun. Then we have compound noun. A compound noun is basically the combination of two or more nouns to form one noun. For example, we want to talk about football. Football, FOOT BALL. Football is a compound noun. It's a compound noun because it consists of two nouns, foot and ball. So foot and ball, football. That is a compound noun. Then second to last, we'll talk about the abstract noun. Abstract noun is a noun that is used to describe things that you cannot see, things that you can only perceive, things that you cannot see, you cannot taste, and so on and so forth. For example, electricity. Electricity, you can't see electricity, but when you touch a naked wire, at least you can, that feeling. Now basically, electricity is an abstract noun. And also feelings and emotions, for example, love, hatred. You can't see love, you can't see hatred, but you can feel it, right? You know when it's there, you know when it's not there, and you know how it feels when it's there, and so on and so forth. So those things you can feel but you can't see, that are not corporeal, those things that are incorporeal. So those are known as abstract nouns. So those abstract nouns, examples are love, hatred, trust, betrayal, likeness, ignorance, insouciance, so on and so forth. Those are all abstract nouns. So those are abstract nouns because they cannot be touched, they cannot be seen, but they can be felt. Now lastly, we'll talk about the verbal noun. So a verbal noun basically is a noun that that takes the outlook of a verb. For example, a verbal noun, there are two types of verbal noun. There's what we known as gerund, and gerund ends in ing. Then we have the infinitives. Infinitives begin with to. So gerunds end with ing. For example, if I take this football and I add ing, that would be footballing. And I can turn into a sentence like I can say, footballing is my best career. So that's becoming now because I'm talking about it now. It has become the name of something I like. So footballing is what I like, right? So that's name of something, footballing, is called a noun. And this ing is called has made it a verbal noun. And a verbal noun either has an ing as a suffix, or it has a to before it. So for example, if I say to play football is good, or to play is good. Now that play is a verb, but when you put the to before the play, it turns into a noun, and that's called an infinitive. So gerunds and infinitives are two types of verbal nouns. So moving on, we have different functions of nouns. Nouns can function as the subject of a sentence. So for example, in this sentence, let me give a sentence now. Let me give a general sentence that can explain everything I want to say. So now if I say beans, beans, beans is my favorite. Now in this sentence, there are two nouns here. The first noun is beans, and this beans is serving as the subject of the sentence. Then the second noun is my favorite, and this my favorite is serving as the object of the sentence. So you can say that a noun can serve as as a subject or as the object. But in this case, actually, it's not really a subject. It's actually a subject complement. So it is not really an object. Pardon me, I made a mistake there. It's called a subject complement, because anytime a noun comes after the what's called again, the auxiliary verb is. Anytime now comes after the auxiliary verb is, it's known as a subject complement. So this my favorite is serving as a subject complement to the noun beans, to the subject beans. So this subject and subject complement. We also have object and object complement. An object is the object of a sentence is the noun that comes after the verb, while the subject of a sentence is the noun that comes before the verb. So for example, in this sentence, if I say he ate rice. So this he ate rice, this he is the subject of the sentence, and this rice is the object of the sentence. Now, if I say he called me a fool. Now this sentence, this he is the subject, the called is the main verb, and then this me is the object, the direct object is the direct object, which is the receiver of the action called, and then we have this a fool is the object complement. And basically an object complement is anything now that comes immediately after the object of the sentence. So you can see what I'm saying now. So now we talk about subject, we talk about subject complement, we talk about object, and now we talk about object complement. So lastly, let's talk about the complement of a preposition. So and a noun functions as the complement of a preposition when it comes immediately after a preposition in a sentence. Examples of preposition are examples of prepositions are to, under, on top, above, below, to, from, and so on and so forth. So if I say I go to school, now that noun that comes after the to is school, right? So that school is the object of the preposition, and so on and so forth. Or you can also call it a complement of the preposition. And then nouns have different functions, but these are just the 5 main functions of nouns that we'll be tracing in this video. And in summary, we'll talk about nouns. Nouns are the names of different things. We'll talk about the types of nouns, which are proper nouns, common nouns, abstract nouns, verbal nouns, compound nouns, collective nouns, and etc. Now then, lastly, we'll talk about the functions of noun, which are subject of the verb, subject complement, object of the verb, object complement, complement of the preposition, and so on and so forth. So if you know more, you can also give me more in the comment section of this video, so that we can also discuss more on functions of nouns. But this is as far as we can go in this video. Thank you for watching.